Hey, 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 it's Uncle Lo with Uncle Lo's Next Adventure. And today, thanks for joining me on my ride through a portion of Vancouver here called Kerrisdale and UBC. And it's really not just to kind of highlight the area. Today, actually, I want to talk a little bit about some safe riding and what you can kind of be scanning for when you're a rider, especially if you're a brand new one. I'm sure if you haven't been a new rider for almost 3 decades at this point, but I do remember some of the nerves on my first few rides, just kind of going through the city here. And yeah, there was a lot of cars, a lot of things to look at, and it was kind of the start of the journey of looking, hey, look, this is pretty open here, right? This is really enjoyable, fun, but dangerous, and at the same time. And this is a great example just to start off the bat. If you saw this car up front here, they did put a signal up probably a block ago, and they quickly turned it off. So this tells me that they're kind of preparing, or maybe they're a little bit lost, or they're just looking and for their next street to turn on. So I'd probably, as a rider, give them a little bit more distance, seeing that they brake checked a little bit. They weren't too close to another car. They're speeding up at this point, so I think that they're recognizing where they need to go. So as a rider, I'd be very cognizant of being too close as a rider. I'd also be very aware of your surroundings. That black BMW, as you can see right there, they found their turn. And this black BMW is being a little bit impatient. You can't see it in my right mirror here, but they've been kind of jockeying for position for the last few minutes here, and you can tell they're kind of speeding off in the distance. The other thing you'd be aware of too, obviously going into lights, and I think it's very easy for a bike to kind of squeeze through little small spots, but like that Tesla there, instead of speeding up, I actually slowed down just to make sure that they were indeed committed to the turn, because they started turning early and turning really slowly. So sometimes their sudden braking would make a bit of a difference too. Traveling into kind of the other city roads here, I can talk a little bit about lane positioning. And when I first started off riding, lane position 1, which is the most left position in the lane here, is probably traditionally where I would be. I didn't deviate from this position very much, probably for the first few years of riding. But I quickly learned that, space is everything, right? When a big truck goes and pulls off onto the right there, being on the left position in this lane gave enough reaction time to go many ways. So, traditionally, again, this is a good spot to be in. I know that this one here will kind of merge in this lane, and that outside is actually an HOV lane at certain times where cars can't kind of go through, but or they'll have to merge in eventually. So staying in this lane here, I find very comfortable, very good, and obviously, looking at the far right lane, there's a lot of streets going in there, so just trying to avoid cars popping up your head or even running through a stop sign. This is the UBC highway here, just a very short highway. Speed limits are not very high, but it transitions from kind of a slower speed to a higher speed. So be very careful as a rider of many impatient motorists behind you that might be looking for opportunities to kind of scoot out. So I like to always take a little bit of a kind of a proactive approach in this. Is if I see some type of traffic, especially when I know that there isn't going to be much traffic along this way, I just kind of filter through. I fast forward a little bit through this highway. Really not much, just be very careful of people merging onto an existing highway. This is a little bit of an older one here, where, there's just 2 lanes on each one. What I'm just kind of preparing here is just kind of cycling through a bit of the side of the tires, making sure there's no debris, because there's a couple of turns that are coming up here. And for this turn here, 2 lanes going up into a slower part. I usually, again, this one I tried to stay on the right lane. I knew that there are no curbs, no blind spots, driveways, anything coming on the right side. So I'm okay, right? Hugging that turn. Whereas the inside one potentially could have a lot of cars try to go through a bit of that fast lane there. Coming into circles, this is actually a good awareness for a lot of new riders. There's 2 sides usually to these turns, and if you're going outside from the immediate exit, I usually like to try to go into the left lane so I can go all the way around and then eventually scoot out. You can see there, I actually had to almost come to a full stop on this turn. Had to be very aware of the car on my right side, but for some reason there was a van that was stuck in the middle of the sidewalk of that turn circle. So yeah, they kind of turned off, and be very careful, because from that vantage point prior to this, you can tell that I would be in the blind spot. So you will not win that, regardless if you want to kind of move forward or not. I would definitely be very, very careful of those turn circles, because your bike is very nimble, but don't forget the cars are not. And as they turn out of those circles there's pretty big blind spots, because they're looking, for example, turning right, so they don't know anything that's happening on their left side. So again, be very careful. I get into this kind of more of a city zone here. This is Marine Drive. I like it because it's just kind of a very easy, nice, simple ride here. There's usually quite a lot of traffic because it is a 1-lane highway. You'll see probably a cyclist goes as fast as some of the cars and motorcycles, even though they don't reach the outright speed. You can see this one here, they just continue riding on their exclusive bike lane. So yeah, I'll pass them here, but eventually you can see with these 1-lane traffic that regular pedal bikes do pass quite quickly here. This is kind of where, as a cyclist, I'm probably going to focus a lot more on kind of my clutch work here. Being because stop and go traffic, it's very easy to get fatigued with your clutch hand. Brake lever, not so much. The only one I see there is if you're on your right hand, is if you're sustained throttle through highway or something, and you just gotta hold on all the time there, then yeah, I can see your hand being quite could be having cramps or something like that, right? Or a little bit more fatigue. But your left hand with the clutch work gets a lot of use. So this is really where I do some kind of bumper to bumper traffic and practice a lot of those balancing skills, and just staying within the friction point, knowing enough throttle to give it. I practice a lot of rear brake work here too, which I know that when you start off riding, they're going to tell you like almost 80% of the, or 100% of the braking is from the front. So, you know, you're going to get a bulk of the front there, and really just getting accustomed to putting all your kind of loading into that front tire and doing some effective stops. But slow speed maneuvers, or if your front wheel comes up, unexplained wheelie, or something like that, you're always using the rear brake, and you're thinking, oh, as a beginner, I'm not really thinking of wheeling right now. And again, I want you to practice your rear brake a little bit more in these stop and go situations, is because a lot of people are not very comfortable doing rear brakes. And you're not doing it for a panic stop. I'm not asking you to kind of brake traction in the rear when braking. But when you're at slow speed maneuvers, pushing the amount, modulating the amount of brake pedal with your rear is really an effective skill to have, especially when you're trying to keep yourself balanced, moving with the bike. And also just the fact that when you're at friction point and you're balancing with your rear, you can really do a lot of effective slow speed maneuvers that is really required, because you can't just use your front brake and then use refined front throttle control too at the same time, even though again that is probably more of an intermediate practice, but it's very good, especially when you're matching revs, that you get used to kind of braking and using the throttle at the same time. But we'll go into a different section next time on this, because we'll talk a lot more about ergonomics and even how to reach for your pedal. What does it look like when you're in a braking situation? Is your throttle fully closed, or is it an open situation, which can be a little bit dangerous? So these are other little things that you need to think about through motorcycle safety. Is how do your ergonomics work? Are you you can move into a panic situation? And this is again really great exercise just to kind of go through, hey, what is a panic braking situation? Do I use just my front when it's raining? Like, how do I modulate it? What is my bike? Because my two bikes here from the Honda stable here, one is a Goldwing and this one here is a VFR800 FI, and both of them have a link brake system. So whether I like it or not, when I push my front brake hard, my rear brake engages, and it doesn't lock up, but it engages so that you can get a better balance thing. So you need to get used to that. You need to get used to if your bike even has that, and understanding your threshold, if you have ABS on the road or in a safe spot like a parking lot, is something that I always encourage, because I like to do a lot of skill kind of development in closed course areas, and it's really just a lot more comfortable because each bike is quite different. Like riding my Goldwing and being fully upright, sitting in a chair, almost like a couch, where your legs are sticking out and your arms are draped forward, versus kind of like I have a Sport Tourer on this VFR, which is a lot more still a sporty or aggressive position. Making turns, going left and right based on the angle is again quite different, right? Some of my other bikes before, like my KTM or even a Honda Grom, I put straight handlebars. So turning from those type of angles are a lot different from turning from using clip-ons, right? And pushing your handlebars when they're so raked. So sometimes you'll see here what I'm doing is just from time to time, I'll get a comfort level of steering of the bike. I just like to move smooth input so that I understand that if I have to come to a braking or a turn situation, how do I actually utilize it? What does it feel like when you get a good dig from the tires, right? But I want to draw your attention here, because here it looks like just a mundane road, but this is actually kind of a cyclist or even a motorcyclist kind of an area where you have to look very closely. To the left there's actually a greenway where there's a bike lane where bikes are flying and they've got the right of way. So really, you've got to watch kind of that movement from the bikes that are just flying, especially if you're making a left turn, because you'll go across a lot of cyclists. If you see them going through. This is also a four-way stop. So this, again, I said gets quite busy. This is not that busy right now, but you can see that bike was going, and that guy making the left turn was, wanted to keep their cadence. They didn't really matter. For me, I'm waiting for my... Whoa! Gosh darn it, did you see that? That's the classic case of how dangerous it could be on the road sometimes. That's a four-way stop. So you can see the person behind me decided they wanted to go straight and thought that they can have a right of way or they can jackrabbit it. But that's a classic example of how dangerous that can be and how close, and the way that car was accelerating. You can see why I leave so much distance between myself and other vehicles and always scanning the road. But, I hate to say it, but that was a really good example. Again, I'm going into kind of a more suburban type area where there's going to be a lot more vehicles parked, a lot more vehicles starting out. There's also going to be areas where it's just going to be a little bit, you've got to have some patience whether you're going straight or turning right, which I'm doing right now. So just from the vantage point of this city street here, obviously you look for pedestrians, right, in your way. You look, there's 3 lanes going on one way. I'm going to turn right, merge into it. Am I going to merge into the first lane, second lane, or third lane? I want to be cognizant of that because I am going to be turning on the far left, and I'm going to be turning up really fast here. So I got to be very careful of all this braking, a bit of congestion here. I see a SUV on the left side here. That's the street I want to turn. So I want to make sure that they're very well aware of me, and they were moving their tires a bit. So, you got to be careful, right? Slow down and make sure you're aware. Lucky I got a bit of a yellow bike, and I stand up a little bit on those type of turning scenarios, so I look like even a bigger rider. But be very careful there. Uncontrolled intersections in the suburban areas, got to be very careful of. Cars just turning out in, cyclists, because a lot of these in Vancouver, again, are cyclist exclusive roads, I shouldn't say, but priority roads for them. So you just got to be careful. And a lot of, in Vancouver here, because we don't have many kind of freeways, so a lot of people will take shortcuts through the city like I am right now to kind of get to your next destination. Riding in here, again, the most important is to stay kind of visible. I like to kind of just be in the area. Obviously, if there's someone behind me or someone I need to squeeze through, because this looks more like a one-lane street where you've just got to be courteous. So you got to make sure, because cars sometimes just don't stop because they usually have the right of way regardless. People are not comfortable with motorcycles, right? So it's not like they're going to stop exclusively for you. They're probably used to a lot of, like when I went to Vietnam and Thailand recently, when you're on a bike, you're literally fending for position between cars and others. Here, I'm going to show you, actually, this is a good skill to have too, is to do nice, slow, controlled turns. And that's really kind of how I want to end off our time today, on a little bit of safety, making a safe U-turn there. I'm going to get off my bike shortly here and push the button. I'm going to be a cyclist myself, so I can get across the road and get to my next destination. But I really want to thank you if you've visited this long and stayed along in this video. I hope that you press the subscribe and like button. and I want to do future ones too, just to give you a different perspective of what to look at when you are going and riding, right? I've just done it for so many years that I have to consciously practice my skills so that I'm very well aware of that when I need to utilize it, how I practice it, or